Hi, everyone. Very warm welcome to this session of Let Us Talk It Youth webinar. Our older youth group who think themselves to be more matured, and yes, they are. They try to bring out topics which they think would help the community, the kids who might need, more information on a particular topic. Yes, we welcome you, all of those who have joined in on social media, on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We welcome you. And we also, from Let Us Talk It family, we want that any of you who would be interested in the coming days to be part of the panelists, to be part of Let Us Talk It family, do email us at webinar@letustalkit.com, where you can be part of that, your kids actually can be part of that group of virtual friends. Trust me, they learn, they have fun together virtually. And if you want to also experience that, you can register by going to our website, www.letustalkit.com/youth, and register your kids there as well. And we have prep sessions for two different groups, younger and older, at different timings. And as you know, we have these webinars for older youth. We have webinars every Saturday from 4 p.m. EST. And we also do have our professional webinars. We have 3 speakers who speak on different topics every Wednesday from 12 p.m. EST. Those are related with work and life. And this is our aim, to make a more informed and empowered community. With that, we begin our session today. Our topic that the youth have chosen is natural disaster and forces. So we all like this quote that we cannot stop natural disasters, but we can arm ourselves with knowledge. So many lives wouldn't have to be lost if there was enough disaster preparedness. So I'm pretty sure that our youth have will try to empower you with that knowledge, and so at least we know what it is and how we can be prepared. So for our panelists today, we have Ahana, Arush, Anvita, Hasni, Mahati, Nihar, Srimukta, Virat, and Vivan. And as a moderator, we have AJ, Arijit, and they are all excited to share with you these knowledge. And if you have any questions or you want to interact, please join the Zoom session, the Zoom link, and you can interact with our panelists. So wish you all the best, kids. Over to you, Arijit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's youth webinar. I'm Urjit Kumar Naru, and I'm the moderator for this week's webinar. Today, we will be talking about natural forces and natural disasters. A natural disaster is an act of natural force. It might lead to many losses and a lot of damage. Now, let's get, but before going to the table of contents, let's look at this quote. Bad things do happen in the world, like war, natural disasters, disease. But of those situations always arise stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. With that said, now let's get into the table of contents. First, we're going to introduce ourselves to about us, and then get into natural forces and natural disasters themselves, and end the session with the question and answer, and an interaction session. First, let's get to know us. Hello, everyone. My name is Sheshit Kumar Naru, and I'm a 7th grader at Camillus Middle School. A few of the things I like doing are playing soccer, playing the drums, and also painting.
Hi everyone, my name is Mukta and I'm a junior at Rochester High School in Michigan. Some of my hobbies include dancing and spreading awareness on world issues. Today I will be talking about whirlpools, so stay tuned.
Hi everyone. Just like you, I love nature, from the smallest of snowflakes to the biggest of mountains, and from the different shapes of the clouds in the sky. But today you'll be getting a different perspective of nature. I'm Ahana Arunkumar from Michigan, and I'm a fifth grader, and today I'll be telling you about the facts on quicksand and some tips and tricks to get out of it.
Hi everybody, my name is Mahadi and I am a 7th grader in Michigan, and some things I like to do are painting and writing. In today's webinar, I'll be talking about avalanches.
Hi everyone, my name is Amrita and I'm a fifth grader from Herndon, Virginia. Some of the things I like to do are sketching and singing. In this week's webinar, I'll be talking about earthquakes.
Hi everyone, my name is Hassani and I'm a 7th grader at Ruther Middle School in Michigan. And some things I enjoy doing are playing tennis, doing kuchipudi dance, and watching Netflix.
Hi everyone, my name is Nihar Tanta and I'm a 10th grader at Rochester High School, and some things I enjoy doing are math and magic. I'm going to be talking to you about sinkholes today.
Hello, my name is Yvonne, and things I like to do are running, reading, playing my keyboard, doing the Arduino, watching science videos, and drawing. Until next one.
Hello everybody, my name is Virat, and what I really like to do is playing around with electronics, doing science, and a lot of other cool things like going outside. And I also like especially seeing and experimenting with things, so that's something I really like. And in this webinar, I'm going to be talking to you about lightning and thunder.
Hi, my name is Arush and I'm a 7th grader at Baker Middle School in Michigan. Some things I like doing are watching anime, playing video games, and reading books. Today I will be talking about hurricanes, so stay tuned.
Okay, guys, now let's get into natural forces and natural disasters. First, we have Hasani talking about tsunamis.
Thank you, AJ. So, tsunamis are giant waves caused by earthquakes or volcanic eruptions under the sea. Out in the depths of the ocean, tsunami waves do not dramatically increase in height. But as the waves travel inland, they build up to higher and higher heights as the depth of the ocean decreases. The speed of tsunami waves depends on ocean depth rather than the distance from the source of the wave. Tsunami waves may travel as fast as jet planes over deep waters, but only slowing down when reaching shallow waters. While tsunamis are often referred to as tidal waves, this name is discouraged by oceanographers because tides have little to do with these giant waves. Most tsunamis, so like about 80% of them, happen within the Pacific Ocean, which is called the Ring of Fire. It's a geologically active area where tectonic shifts make volcanoes and earthquakes common, which explains the tsunamis. Tsunamis may also be caused by underwater landslides or volcanic eruptions. They may even be launched, as they frequently were in Earth's ancient past, by the impact of a large meteorite plunging into an ocean. Tsunamis race across the sea at up to 500 miles or 805 kilometers an hour. So, like I said, about as fast as a jet airplane. At that pace, they can cross the entire expanse of the Pacific Ocean in less than a day. That's a lot. And their long wavelengths mean they lose very little energy along the way. A tsunami's trough, the low point beneath the wave's crest, often reaches the shore first. When it does, it produces a vacuum effect that sucks coastal water seaward and exposes harbor and seafloors. This retreating of seawater is an important warning sign of a tsunami because the wave's crest and its enormous volume of water typically hit shore 5 minutes or so later. Recognizing and realizing this event can come in handy a lot. Of course, a tsunami is a natural disaster, so you can't do much to prevent them because nature causes them. But the very least you could do is protect your home and living in buildings within several hundred feet of the coastline. But if you do live in a coastal area, it would be better to elevate your home to help reduce damage. So you could take precautions to prevent flooding. Having an engineer check your home and advise about ways to make it more resistant to tsunami water also helps. Tsunamis are kind of like floods, but way more impactful and deadly. As of what I know, lots of tsunamis occur in Hawaii. But there are three main tsunami types, which are based off of the distance, which are local tsunamis, regional tsunamis, and distant tsunamis. As you may infer, the distant tsunami is the most powerful and deadliest. The 2011 earthquake off the Pacific coast of Tohoku, also known as the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and the Great East Japan earthquake and the 3rd of March earthquake, was a magnitude 9.0 undersea earthquake off the coast of Japan that occurred at 2:46 p.m. Japan Standard Time on Friday, March 11, 2011. With the epicenter approximately 70 kilometers east of the Oshika Peninsula of Tohoku and the hypocenter at an underwater depth of approximately 32 kilometers. This is one of the most destructive tsunamis that have ever occurred. Thank you.
Wow, Hasani, I could not believe tsunamis are so powerful. And I really like the fact that and it really fascinated me how a whole tsunami can go around the world in less than a day. Now we have Nihar talking about sinkholes.
Sorry about that. Hi. So what is a sinkhole? A sinkhole is a huge hole in the ground that occurs due to erosion. Erosion would be the process that removes soil, rock, or dissolved material from one place to another in the Earth's crust and moves it to another location. It's a natural process of fluid movement, or such as fluid flow. Erosion itself is caused by four major things. It's caused by splash, sheet, rill, and gully. These four things can be known as rain, rivers, floods, and lakes, and ocean. Erosion, in simple man's terms, would be the natural settling of the earth, essentially saying that at some point when the earth gets tired, it will start to sink in, and it'll start to flow around. And now if we look to the right side, we can see what are the different types of sinkholes. There are three different types of sinkholes. There's solution sinkholes. Solution sinkholes occur in areas where limestone is exposed and the surface is covered by very thin layers of soil or sand. This would then cause a downward movement, causing it to create a very big depressing hole. Now, a cover collapse sinkholes. As you see in my picture right now, this could be very well a cover collapse sinkhole because they are much more dramatic and one of the most dangerous things. They are called a cover collapse because the cover of it are still there. They're on top of it's shown on top of it, but underneath that cover, there's a huge hole. So the second you step on it, it creates a dramatic fall, and potentially you could fall or something could fall into that huge sinkhole. I don't know about you guys, but that thing goes very far down. It looks so scary. Now, next, cover subsidence sinkholes. These sinkholes gradually come where the sediments are covering and they contain sand. So let's say such as under the ground, or they could also occur in different places. These actually are kind of uncommon and they're actually pretty small and they can actually go undetected for a really long time. So overall, if we look at all of these, we can conclude that the cover collapse sinkhole would be the most dangerous because It has two major things. One, they're actually really pretty deep, which is scary. And two, you don't see them coming half the time, all of the time. Hence the word cover collapse. Thank you.
Wow, sinkholes really scare me now. And cover collapse sinkholes are the one that I am afraid of the most. But now we have Ahana talking about quicksand.
Thank you, AJ. Hi again. Well, we all love to play in sand, right? Building sandcastles is my favorite. But quicksand, which I chose to talk about today, is not fun. If you believe what you saw in the movies, you might think that quicksand's like a living creature that can suck you down into a bottomless pit, never to be heard again. But no, the actual properties of quicksand are not quite shown in the movies. Okay, so what is quicksand? Quicksand is not a unique type of soil. It's nothing more than a soupy mixture of sand and water. So then next time you're at a beach, try to notice the difference between the sand that you stand on the different parts of the beach that have varying levels of moisture. If you stand on the driest part of the beach, the sand holds you just fine. But if you move closer to the water, you'll notice that the sand is more wet and even more tightly packed than the dry sand. The moderate amount of water creates the capillarity that allows the sand particles to clump together. That's what allows you to build a sandcastle. But beach sand can easily become quicksand if enough water was there to thrust it up through. If an excessive amount of water flows through the sand, it forces the sand particles apart. This separates the particles that causes the ground to loosen, and any mass on the sand will become to sink right through it. That's what causes a quicksand. Well, how dangerous is quicksand? You might ask yourself, can I die if I was stuck in quicksand? Well, the answer is yes and no. It's impossible to die from quicksand like in the movies. And that's because quicksand is denser than a human body. People and animals can get stuck in it, but they don't get sucked down to the bottom because they float on the top. Our legs are pretty dense, so they may sink, but our torso contains the lungs that kind of acts like a floaty to keep our torso above the bottom of the pit. But quicksand can kill people, however, but it typically doesn't kill them by drowning them. But how do you get out of quicksand? So imagine that you're stuck inside quicksand alone with no one to help you. How are you going to get out? Well, I'm going to be telling you some tips and tricks on how to get out if no one's around. With quicksand, the more you struggle, the faster you'll sink. So if you just relax, your body will float and your body will become less dense than the quicksand. And if you ever find yourself in a quick pit of quicksand, don't worry. It's not going to swallow you whole. It's not as hard to escape from it as you think it might be. Just think, throw off all your bags, jackets, and heavy items that you hold, and try to get light as possible, and that will make yourself lighter and easier to get yourself out. Quicksand can be found in places where there's grainy soil, like riverbanks, lake shorelines, beaches, and even building construction areas. Some places around the world that have been known to have quicksand are in Southern California and near the Santa Ana River. If you ever see anyone stuck in quicksand, don't panic and don't hesitate to help them. And if you're stuck, remember not to shake or strain too much because that will only pull you in more. So just keep your arms out of the quicksand and it'll be easier for you to get yourself pulled out. I hope you found my presentation interesting and helpful. I thank you guys all for this opportunity, and I'm really eager to learn more from my friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahana, and thank you for the tips how to get out because I really think I need them. Now we have Mahati talking about avalanches.
Thank you, AJ. Imagine that you're on a beautiful mountain skiing until you hear a rumble coming from the top of it. You stop and gaze as the downpour of fluffy snow races itself to reach you. That's when you realize it's coming towards you. So what happens next? Even though that these occasions are very stunning, they are also very dangerous if you have not guessed it yet. You probably know them as avalanches, so let's start. What is an avalanche? An avalanche is the massive snow that slides rapidly down an inclined slope, such as a mountainside or the roof of a building. Avalanches can occur from human or natural activity. Natural activity is the wind, rain, warming temperatures, snow, or earthquakes. But it can also happen from human activity such as skiers, snowmobiles, hikers, or vibrations from machinery or constructions. Let's go on to the distinguishable features between the 4 different types of avalanches. There are loose snow, wet snow, covered snow, and slab avalanches. A loose snow avalanche will usually happen in which a slope becomes heavily loaded with snow composed of low density and loosely packed snow. Loose snow avalanches in turn could cause a slab avalanche, which are characterized by the fall of a large block of ice down the slopes. A slab avalanche is one of the most harmful types. The next type of avalanche is the wet snow avalanche. These are quite dangerous as they travel down slowly due to friction, which collects debris from the path fairly easily. The avalanche consists of water and snow in the beginning, but has shown us that it can pick up speed with ease. And finally, we have the powder snow avalanches. It's a mix of the other forms, which are loose snow and slab. The bottom half of this avalanche consists of slab or dense concentration of snow, ice, and air. Above this is a cloud of powdered snow, which can snowball into a larger avalanche as it progresses down the slope. Although there are very different types, they have many dangers in common. For example, an obvious one would be being buried to death, although another one could be suffocation, wounds, and hypothermia. Because of avalanches, there are approximately 150 deaths a year, but there are many incidents that went over this death toll. So let's go over some famous avalanches. The first one I'll be talking about is the Huascarán avalanche. It was caused by an earthquake which triggered the avalanche. It combined with a resultant landslide, it is the most catastrophic natural disasters in the history of Peru. On May 31st, 1970, the huge Ancash earthquake struck off the coast of Peru, and the quake and the massive landslides it triggered killed approximately 70,000 people. A wall of ice came loose from Peru's highest mountain, which is Mount Huascarán, and it careered down the mountain at incredible speed and buried the town of Yungay. We also have the White Friday avalanches, as in plural, because there are many deadly avalanches recorded on that day. They were triggered by a particularly intense burst of snowfall that occurred when a warm and humid air mass was passed north into the mountains. The deadliest single avalanche took place near the Grand Pass summit of Monte Marmolada, Italy. This summit was one of the most fiercely contested positions in the Alpine front of World War I, with thousands of soldiers living in trenches and town-like camps on the rocky slopes around the peak. A massive avalanche tore through the encampment, burying or crushing some of the wooden barrack buildings. Some other famous avalanches at the same time were the Valcampi di Array avalanches. But the fun fact is that on the day, White Friday as they call it, was actually on a Wednesday. Now that we have covered some of the impact that avalanches have on people and the harms they cause, let's try to avoid avalanches. So here are some survival tips. The first thing that you should do is move to the side. You should immediately run up perpendicular to its path to avoid getting caught up in the middle of it. Secondly, you can land swim. You can do this by utilizing all of your muscles, and if you're struggling to stay afloat, violently thrashing around so you don't sink is a good alternative survival tactic. Another tip is to hold one arm up. You should try to reach one arm up so if that you do get buried, you can give the rescue team a literal hand in helping finding you. And finally, you should create room to breathe. Most avalanche-related fatalities are caused by asphyxiation. If you're caught up in an avalanche, take your hands and cup them over your mouth while you're still moving. Doing this will create a small pocket of air for you to survive on for up to 30 minutes. We have covered a lot of information and especially some really important stuff. I hope you learned something, and if you do come across one of them, which hopefully you don't, you can use this webinar to save yourself. Thank you.
Wow, Monty. And thank you for all those tips to get out of an avalanche. Now I'm going to be talking about Glacier Falls. So glacier falls are just like avalanches. They are avalanches, but way more intense. It occurs when an ice dam blocking a great glacier lake bursts and lets all the water in the glacier lake out at once. Now, this causes by if any disturbance is caused to the barrier or the dam, it collapses very easily. The dam can be made out of ice or slit, which is just mud mixed in with snow. Now this the barrier when it's destroyed, all the water goes downstream where many people actually live. Now, most of these glacier lakes are up in the mountains, and as they go down, it collects more rocks and the ice in it before, and it has been collecting all the way through, and more snow and more mud and more rocks that whenever you reach the glacier fall or the glacier trace, you get damage, you get hurt. Well, you have all this snow and ice hitting you at the same time, and when you the snow will then suffocate you, or else it gives you a frostbite. Now, the now you can once it reaches down to the village, like the incident that happened in Uttarakhand this February, where the Nanda Devi Glacier bursts and the about 20 people died and 170 are still missing. Now, that's just one of the examples that we have of Glacier Falls. So, guys, Glacier Falls is a very not very easy to occur type of disaster, but is very crucial and very it does a lot of damage. So yeah. Now, thank you. So now we have Virat talking about thunder and lightning.
Hello, everybody. As Arush said, I'm going to be talking about lightning and thunder. Oh wait, that was Arjit. Okay, anyway, here's a cool fact to start off the slide. And you probably already know this, but lightning comes before the thunder. It's because that the speed of light is definitely faster than the speed of sound, and no one can really argue upon that because that's like something basic. And lightning is just light. There's nothing else part of it. It's just made up of electricity, and electricity does flow at the speed of light. And lightning is not always dangerous. People have absorbed a lot more energy than that, like 3.5 billion volts. Meanwhile, lightning is only 1 billion volts. They only survived because it had very less amperage, and you can't really expect much from nature. So thunder might vary the lightning might vary in the amperage that it comes in. So it's pretty much luck if you get hit by a lightning. It's pretty much luck, but also how strong someone's body is in general. If they were really sensitive, like a baby, definitely not would survive. But if it was an adult and they were lucky enough to have a less amperage inside the lightning bolt, then definitely they would survive. I mean, I'm not saying a baby can't survive. I'm just saying the chances are really low. And a person surviving lightning is not that low. I mean, it's not very common to be hit by lightning, but it's still something that can happen. And it's a force that can obliterate a lot of things. Like, let's say that a lightning storm was to occur above an army base, and the lightning might have hit something, then it might catch fire and a lot of troops might die, and the thunder might send off some sonic waves which start hitting some bombs inside it, which might make it explode. So that's one way lightning can also be some it can also be dangerous, not just to some specific concentrated area where it hit. It can actually be diverse. And as you see in the picture, there are a lot of veins inside it, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in the next slide. And also, did you know that lightning flashes the Earth 40 to 50 times per second globally? That's a lot. Anyway, on to the next slide. Hello? Arjit, we can move on to the next slide. Anyway, yeah, there we go. It was there earlier. I had 3 questions on the slide. Lightning and thunder. The facts. How, why, and where is lightning formed? And second, why is it interesting? And finally, the third, and what are some numbers? As you see, there's a GIF showing about thunder. It's actually pretty cool and fun to watch. On the first slide, I showed you, no need to switch to it. I showed you that there was a video there. I'm gonna share it in the chat. And okay, can't reach it. There we go. I sent it into the live streaming chat. You can watch it after the webinar. So that was the video at the start. And let's get into the questions. How, why, and where is it formed? Of course, all of you know this. It is formed in the clouds, where a lot of air molecules will rub against each other and create static energy. You can also create static energy, and that's why in the winter you get a lot of zaps. It's due to static energy. How and why is it formed? As I told you, the molecules will rub against each other, creating more and more static energy, and it'll soon be too much, so it'll release all of it into a gigantic bolt. Why is lightning interesting? Well, it has a lot of energy, and it's actually pretty cool to look at in slow-mo. It has a lot of energy, so people can probably think of some ideas, extracting it, or what we can use the energy for. So that's a really good use of putting it to, of lightning, and that's why is it interesting. And finally, what are some numbers? Some numbers are the lightning bolts go up to 1 billion volts, as I told you in the first slide. And 419 quadrillion volts is a number of energy that we would get if we extracted all the lightning in a year. And 420 quadrillion is the amount of energy that humanity uses in a year. And it would take 42 years to replenish world consumption, but in that 42 years, there would just be even more consumption of electricity, so there would almost be no use. But don't worry, Jupiter has a lot more lightning storms than this because of its very highly static atmosphere, and it generates a lot more lightning storms, and especially the red spot. It's a lightning storm which has been raging for a lot of time, and it's something that will stay there, and there'll gonna be a lot of lightning there. You can find lightning of different color, but I'm not talking about lightning in other planets. And Jupiter might be one way of finding electricity, but again, space travel expensive. 420 quadrillion is the amount of energy. Well, 420 quadrillion volts is a number. Actually, it's joules, not volts. My bad. Anyway, 420 joules is not volts. I tried searching up volts, but I got electron volts, so there are no measurements for that. Anyway, that was lightning and thunder, and the facts about it. You can move on to the next slide.
Wow, that was a very nice presentation, and I really loved how there's a lightning storm raging in Jupiter for hundreds of years. Now we have Srimukta talking about whirlpools.
Thank you, Arjit. You've probably seen a whirlpool in your own house, and I'm not talking about whirlpool appliances. You encounter them when you're draining the bathtub or washing the dishes. But what are whirlpools? Whirlpools, also called maelstorms, are bodies of rotating water in narrow straits with fast-flowing water. They are produced when opposing currents clash or a current runs into an obstacle. When a current hits an obstacle, it twists away and spins around rapidly, as you can see in the pictures. A whirlpool is mostly never-ending, meaning that it could calm down but never goes away in most instances. For example, if you look at the Saltstraumen whirlpool in Norway, this maelstrom is known as the world's biggest whirlpool and has been going on for more than 2,000 years. Furthermore, it is the strongest during the months of March when there's a full moon. This is due to the fact that during a full moon, there is a stronger gravitational pull, which creates a stronger current velocity. When the currents are stronger, the whirlpool itself is stronger. There are many ways that you can encounter this particular whirlpool. You can look at it from the Saltstraumen Bridge or take a boat tour when the waters are calm. You can also snorkel in the calm waters with the correct equipment and guidance, but be careful. Whirlpools can be fatal. Because whirlpools are rotating bodies of water, once you swim into one, it's very hard to get out, but not possible. One way to get out is to duck down beneath the water and keep traveling downstream. Another way is to swim to the edge of the whirlpool, but opposite to the direction of the stream. Once you get to the end, you can thrust yourself to the outside of the whirlpool and keep swimming with the currents. One thing to note is that while these techniques might help, survival isn't guaranteed and you may drown. So remember to always wear a life jacket when going in the waters and only swim or kayak in calm waters, where whirlpools are less likely to occur. Thank you.
Thank you for that amazing presentation, and I love the tips all the time, every time, because disasters are very bad. And I really love how there is a whirlpool in Norway that's been raging for 2,000 years. That really fascinates me. Now we have Arish talking about hurricanes.
Hi, my name is Arush, and today I'm going to be talking about hurricanes. If we go to the next slide, I'll tell you what hurricanes are. Now, what are hurricanes? A hurricane is a storm with violent winds, heavy rains, and lightning and thunder. It only happens in coastal areas, like Texas and Florida, or even the Caribbean. The heavy lightning, thunder, and rain come from cumulonimbus clouds, which are the bringers of thunderstorms. These cumulonimbus clouds also rarely cause tornadoes. Now on the next slide, I'll talk about how bad hurricanes are. Now, how bad are hurricanes? Well, there are multiple types of hurricanes. Well, the weakest is Category 1, which ranges from 74 to 94 miles per hour and does minor damage. The strongest is Category 5, which have wind speeds that are over 157 miles per hour, can wipe out houses and destroy buildings. So, in conclusion, hurricanes are very dangerous. Now on the next slide, I'll talk about some examples of dangerous hurricanes. Now, first, I'm going to talk about Hurricane Katrina, the third strongest hurricane in the world ever recorded. It was a Category 5 hurricane from Florida to Louisiana. But once it got to Louisiana, it became Category 3. This hurricane occurred in 2005. The next hurricane is a recent one, which happened in 2017. Hurricane Harvey, which was a Category 4. The direction it went was from Texas to Louisiana. The cost to rebuild all the damage was over $1 billion. Now the last one I'm going to talk about is Hurricane Rita, which happened in the Gulf of Mexico in 2005. It was also a Category 5. and it took $8.5 billion to reconstruct everything. Thank you.
Wow, that was fascinating. And how the Hurricane Rita took $18.5 billion to rebuild all the damage that's a lot of money. So now we have Anvita talking about earthquakes.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be talking about earthquakes. So as you can see on my slide, I have 3 questions and a chart that briefly tells you about what causes earthquakes. I'll answer my 3 questions and explain the sequential chart to you. So my first question is, what causes earthquakes? Well, if you take a look at my chart, it shows exactly that. So there are 4 main different layers of Earth, as you can see on the picture, and tectonic plates make up the crust of the Earth. So tectonic plates are always slowly moving, but they get stuck at their edges due to friction. When the stress on the edge of a tectonic plate overcomes the friction, there is an earthquake, which releases energy waves that move through the Earth's crust, which cause the shaking we feel during an earthquake. My next question is, what are the different types of plate movements that can cause earthquakes? Most seismic activity happens at 3 types of plate boundaries, which are divergent, convergent, and transform. Like I said before, when the plates move up against each other, they sometimes get caught up and then pressure builds up, which causes an earthquake. And my last question is, what can you do to stay safe in an earthquake? Well, there are a few points you should follow during an earthquake, and if you're near a place that frequently gets hit by earthquakes, you can take cover and hold on to anything sturdy. You should stay indoors until the shaking stops. You should stay away from windows. The source I researched and also said that if you're on your sofa or bed, which actually could be a possibility, even though I would find it rare for someone to be sleeping during an earthquake, you should cover your head with a pillow to protect yourself from falling debris. If you're outside, you should try to go indoors, but if you can't, then you should find a clear spot away from buildings, trees, or power lines. And that's how you stay safe during an earthquake. So if anything happens, like the GIF in my slide before this, in this slide, it also shows the waves of pressure that builds up and bursts when an earthquake happens, like I was talking about before. So now, on my next slide, I'll be briefly explaining about the different major and minor continental plates. So as you can see on this map, there are many plates, but I want to talk about one thing, like why does California have so many earthquakes? I'm sure at least many of you must have heard about like at least one earthquake in California. And why do different places have more earthquakes than other places where earthquakes are very rare? Well, first of all, California has a lot of earthquakes because it is close to the San Andreas fault line and the Pacific tectonic plate. And other places that earthquakes are common in are probably near a fault line or near the edges of tectonic plates, especially. Now, some names of famous earthquakes are the Shaanxi earthquake of 1556. This was the deadliest earthquake ever recorded. San Francisco earthquake of 1906. And the Great Chilean earthquake of 1960, the Great Alaska earthquake of 1964, the Great Tangshan earthquake of 1976, the Bam earthquake of 2003, Indian Ocean earthquake of 2004. Now I'm going to be saying 5 names of earthquakes with the magnitudes of them. The Valdivia earthquake in Chile on May 22nd in 1960, it was a 9.5. It was recorded 9.5. The Prince William Sound, it was in Alaska on March 28th in 1964. It was a 9.2. Sumatra, Indonesia on December 26th in 2004. It was recorded as 9.1. Sendai, Japan on March 11th in 2011. It was recorded as 9.0. Bio, Chile in Chile on February 27th in 2010. It was recorded 8.8. And thank you. And I hope you enjoyed learning about earthquakes, its tremors, and the information behind them.
Wow, that was amazing. And I finally know why California gets a lot of earthquakes. Now we have Vivon talking about wildfires.
Hello, my name is Vivon, and I've already introduced myself, but let's get started. First of all, To know about wildfires, you gotta know what they are. Well, that's what it means. Anyway, a wildfire is a wild fire. It's not man-made because it's wild. And it also can't be a fire that comes from your house accidentally, like if you left out pancakes burning on the stove. It wouldn't be like that either. Anyway, where do they happen? Well, they happen in tons of places. Tons and tons. But not really in separate places. But they usually happen in North Australia, the middle of America, and South Africa. Why do they happen? Well, here's some topics to think about. They happen because of bushfires. That is when it gets really hot of some source, the hot air particles get disturbed and then set fire to the closest things nearby. Since the air is on fire, anything near the air will burn too, like the bushes, because bushes are very common in Africa, America, and Australia. But they're not everywhere. It just happens in some places. And the heat. That is the main trigger. The heat will cause irritations in the air, which will cause almost everything to catch on fire. Even the air, and the air makes everything else catch on fire. And also thunder. When thunder strikes the ground, it can create a fire. But when that lights onto trees and bushes, there you go, you have a wildfire. But most wildfires are hard to stop. But what I mean by that is some wildfires have not been able to be put out. There's still some going on in Australia, and they're so big. Now, on to some statistics. Please, can you move on to the next slide? Okay, thank you. Now, let's talk about the hectares of forest burnt in wildfires of 2019/2020. So, here's some stats. As you can see the bar graph, but you probably can't tell what they are. Anyway, Australia, 17 million hectares of forest. That is 17 million times 100, acres. So almost, let's say, 1,700 million acres. That is a lot. India, that's 2,056,160,000 in India. And in America, a little more impressive than that is, no, I got India wrong. India is 256,000 and America is a little more impressive by 890,000. That is a lot of land being burnt in wildfires. You might imagine, well, is Earth even that big? I'm here to tell you. Yes, Earth is bigger than 17 million acres. What will you expect? I mean, Australia to burn the whole world? I don't think so. Anyway, on to some ideas to think about. Next slide, please. Some ideas are the impacts for the people, nature, and other lives in the area. Anyway, and the second question says, how can we help prevent or mitigate the risks? And third, are wildfires stimulated by climate change? Well, let's get the answers. First of all, there are many ways that wildfires are damaging. First of all, the fires burn down houses and destroy structures, and they leave people homeless, and some unlucky people die or get hurt by the fire. That's one sad answer, but it's the truth. And the nature is being affected. Well, everything's being burnt. You can't go anywhere. The trees, everything just in fire. And also, you might think that there are pretty cute animals in Africa, and those also die in wildfires. So that's even sadder. Anyway, there are also other lives of the animals. That's what I'm just talking about. the animals also die because they usually can't escape these fires. How can we help prevent or mitigate the risks? This is one good question. Why? Well, because there's almost no way we can help prevent or mitigate the risks except joining the firefighting team and then actually putting out the fires yourself. But we can do something. We can keep, like, let's say, ways to prevent fires or keeping the air less hot. Or you just make it humid. Making it humid makes it so fires can't be there because water puts out fire. So, but how do we do that? Well, if you think you live in a very hot place, then you can keep air fresheners, keep water buckets out so the air stays humid and there's no risk of the air catching fire like I explained. Anyway, are wildfires simulated by climate change? As a matter of fact, yes. So now, if you probably don't know what climate change is, which you probably do know, it's basically the environment being changed by the fossil fuels which are being burnt, and now there's a ton of carbon dioxide in the air. Now, carbon dioxide can heat up the air because it's taking up density, and that heat can actually heat up the air and do exactly what I said. Just heat up the air and make it catch fire, and then make things around it catch fire. So, yes, wildfires are stimulated by climate change. Thank you. That was my slides on wildfires.
That was very fascinating, Vivon, and it's really sad that 2 animals die when the wildfire is struck. But a forest regenerates through succession. So that was our part where we explained our natural disasters and natural forces. Now we can get into Q&A session, the question and answer section.
Yeah, thank you, Arijit, for like moderating so good. Just we have some friends from Dallas, Vinil, Manas, and Giri. Just wanted to ask you if you would like to unmute and share your experience of the recent things that have happened there. Would anybody like to share, please?
Yeah, thank you for joining, and we are very happy to know that you're all doing well, Giri and Kondapalli family. So yeah, you can feel free to switch your camera on if you're comfortable, or off, whatever you feel comfortable with. Video.
This is Giri. I am a parent. I don't have a kid right next to me, but probably even Manas or Vinil, if you are around, maybe you can talk.
So recently in our area, we got a cold wave that was colder than the So we got a winter storm, and the temperature was colder than the usual climate in this area. So our houses and plumbing, they're not equipped or used to handling this climate. So we had a lot of issues with our power and things. So one, the AC in the houses, since the temperature was colder outside, they required more power to heat the house. So that put a huge strain on our electrical supply. So we had like power cuts and things like that around our area. And also pipes were freezing and things like that because just like material that could freeze, and a lot of houses had problems with that.
So after how long did you get your power back? Did you get it yet?
So we only had power cuts for about 2 days, but some people experienced it for longer. We had like 30 minutes on and 30 minutes off throughout the entire day. We have it back now.
Okay, that's good. So I guess you are, grateful of the power now more than ever.
Yeah, it is really like how much we depend on our power and water.
Yeah. Our panelists, anybody has any question or, it's just an interaction session. So please go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, I was just saying that even Giri, you can also feel free to share, some of the, things from your experience as well, and also some of the tips or some of the tips and tricks you used. That's what I heard about. That would be great.
Yeah, Srini, I will do that. Looks like one of the kids had a question for Vinil or Manas. Maybe they can go first and then I'll go later.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No, it was not a question particularly for this topic, but we had questions for the Q&A session. So I thought we were going to move on to that, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, so in our community and communities around, we had a lot of, I'm from Texas, by the way. I'm from Dallas. We had a lot of issues with a lot of people not having power which stayed stable. As a result, the pipes that carry the water through the entire house through various rooms, all of those went under extremely low temperatures, which they are not built for. As a result, the water inside of the pipes got frozen, and ultimately, when it got to a point where the water cannot resist the pressure that the city is sending the water into the houses, the pipes started breaking. As a result, the water started coming into some of the making some outlets by themselves, and several of the houses got impacted with water flowing into the houses and things like that, which was a very, very big kind of unanticipated issue that most of the owners of the houses faced. As a result, now it's going to be a big work for most of them to get those things repaired. So that was one thing. And unfortunately, there were things like some houses catching fire. Like, for example, many people, when they did not have power here, they started trying to light up their fireplace, which was never used for several years. Myself included, we never used a fireplace in 15 years that I have been using this house for. Not knowing whether or not it's going to work fine, we took a risk and light up the fireplace. It was okay in our case, but there were instances where there were houses which got into a fiery situation where the owners did not know that there was a fire outside the house. Somebody had to quickly call the fireplace and get those things taken care of. But things like that happened as well. There was like a 250 apartment homes. 60 of them got completely burned out. We don't know the exact reason why that happened, but many of those kinds of situations happened because it all started with not having power in the first place. And many cities, did not have enough water as a result because the plants could not produce enough water in time, so on and so forth. Yeah, so I think we should all appreciate the what power does for us for making our lives much more comfortable, convenient at all times, and truly appreciate all those people who actually work extremely hard to keep the lights on and all the things running at all times. So this was a perfect, experience for many kids in this area to truly appreciate the very same fact and to understand and start conserving power as and when they get an opportunity. And just simply not leaving a light on when it is not needed. I think that is one of the big things that at least my kids learned in this experience. Any questions?
Oh, great summary, Giri. We are glad you're surviving well now. But yeah, very well explained. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, kids, you are most welcome to ask any other questions and all. I think when we really go through such, we appreciate what the common necessities feel like the luxuries. Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but yeah, I've seen like videos of the pipes bursting in people's houses and their houses getting like all their important stuff like getting ruined because of the water.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos where the pipes just burst and all the water was leaking into the house, and I saw how the ceiling just fall off. And
I saw like holes in the ceiling and
it looked really bad, and we're really happy that you're safe and that you're all okay right now. So
thanks for saying those things. Yes, luckily we all came out okay from all of these experiences, even though we had gone through a lot. If not for we all working as a community and constantly sharing each other experiences and trying to help each other out, we would not have come out successfully. We would have had some bad experiences as well. But I think as a community, as citizens, there is a lot of helping each other out that has happened during the last 5, 6, 7 days. That really helped people getting a lot of benefit out of it, knowing what's going on around all around the impacted area.
Yeah, thank you, Giri, for sharing your experience. And one thing I really want to add here is that how much automated and robotic we want to become. But at the end of the day, that friend or that neighbor or that cousin is so very much needed in in our lives. So that's one thing. And I always got why these Texas people would have fireplaces. So now I get the answer. Just sometimes you have to switch it on. That's the only thing that you have to do, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, I have one thing to add, Julian. Giri, that was very nice. This is Madhvi. Kids, I just wanted to say that today, I think that today was the right day to know more about the disasters going on around us. So you guys were talking, you took up beautiful topics like forest fires, avalanches, and all those kind. So disaster can happen in this way also. It's a natural disaster which none of us predicted, and we should be always watchful as how disasters can happen and how to overcome these kind of issues which can pop up suddenly. So this can be like a live learning example for all of you kids. So how to tackle this kind of issues if something pops up suddenly, and then how best you can treat not only yourself, save not only yourself, but also all people around you. Thank you.
Yes, Madhavi, so right. And our kids are smart. They chose the topic, last week, but it came together.
Yes.
Well, that was a pure coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
You don't have to be that honest, but yeah. Yeah, Arush, you can go ahead. If anybody has any question or anything to add, please do so. Or if you can go with your question.
Out of the Q&A session, I just wanted to ask everyone this like one question I felt like was important. Like, have you ever been in a disaster or know anyone who has? Like, now we know like that people who like went through experiences that tell them about like what they should like good experiences, like, but that had bad results and effects. But yeah, but have you ever?
I do not myself, but my grandmother and my grandfather in India actually faced one in a hurricane, and well, they stayed indoors for the most of the time. So that was an experience that I loved.
Actually, like I have not directly been in a natural disaster, but like we lived in California, and when I was a little baby, my parents went through a 4.5 earthquake. There, yeah.
When my mom was little, she faced an earthquake.
For kids in Michigan, I guess all of you are were very small at that time, but about 10 to 12 years back, we did go through the same episode which Texas is going on right now. So we did have this natural disaster, and it was also called ice icing that happened on the trees. So with that ice dripping on the wire lines, we didn't have power too. So there was snow and it formed into ice because of the low temperatures, and we all had severe power outages for a couple of days. So we survived on fireplace and all, and you guys were born, but you were very little, or you were babies at that time. So
So one question for Vinil and Manas from Dallas. So what is, what are some of the things that you learned and that you will be implementing based on these experiences?
I learned to respect power. I mean, not respect, but to like conserve power and water, because in these times, if you like use too much, then you won't have any left for the next day. So
Yes,
yeah.
that is so experiential for you. Okay. Good. Arjit and team, you can continue.
So we have one more question. What do you think is the most dangerous natural force or natural disaster that we went through in our presentation today? Well, I think myself that what do you call it? Avalanches are really dangerous because they actually don't just they don't let just do damage to the people and near the snow itself. They also like affect people downstream. And I really think one other, which is earthquakes, because earthquakes really cause like tsunamis and avalanches themselves. So it is like a few of these things that actually start other disasters. So I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I also was gonna say earthquakes, which I think are the most destructive and dangerous.
I think tsunamis and there was another storm kind of thing. And I think those are the most dangerous because they can actually go onto land, right? Hurricanes and tsunamis, they can actually go onto land and destroy things. But also, yeah, I agree with everyone because earthquakes can set off both of these.
I think like dangerous depending on the level they're on. Like hurricanes are like category 5 and category 1 between those, and then wildfires too. As I think all disasters are pretty dangerous, but like depending on the levels they're on. But like one disaster, like at least that I'm most scared of are whirlpools, because like I'm always scared of getting sucked in.
That is reasonable. That's funny because I don't think you can get sucked in by a whirlpool.
No, but like sometimes like I'm like every time like I see a picture, I'm like I don't want to get sucked into that.
Well, you should be thinking about quicksand instead of whirlpools, because like I really I can think of where you get the idea of getting sucked into quicksand rather than getting sucked into whirlpool. So.
But I guess being set on fire is just way more dangerous than all those.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
then
guys
one.
are right. Each one is having its own way of being disastrous. So yes, it depends on the intensity. So I agree with all of you that everything is disastrous and dangerous as long as you can be safe. Yeah, sorry, Julian, you were saying something. Go ahead.
No, I was just yeah, I mean that one thing that disasters happen, but like if it did not affect us, we would never know the intensity and the disaster just by seeing and watching. It's for people who get affected, maybe nothing is one bit, I mean, worse than the other. So it always feels this is the worst. So yeah. And yes, along with that, on those lines, we should not forget to be grateful when we have not experienced any of those disasters. So that's also something we should not forget. So any other questions, thoughts, feedback?
I have one thing. Some people think that this whole webinar was about natural disasters, but as you see in the title, it's also about natural forces. So disease could be one of them, and a lot of us experience COVID. Not like literally, but everybody has been through these quarantine times.
Yes, totally agree, Vivan. We were, connecting forces and disasters together as disasters on a whole. But yes, it was the forces and disasters. So yeah, that's also something.
Quicksand
That,
is so yeah. I guess quicksand is not a disaster. So technically, yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was Virat. So yeah, any other thoughts? Arjit, do you have anything else to add?
No, but that's all the questions we have. But disasters are very dangerous, but it fascinated all of us, and we all made these presentations to let everybody know about how dangerous they are, and at the same time how you can get out of one, or how we can prevent it, or how it occurs, so we can in turn prevent it.
Right, correct. And thank you, Vinil, Manas, and Giri for joining in, sharing your thoughts. So how did you charge your phone? That's one question. Like, how did you live without it, or the charge, or anybody wants to share?
So let me share my experience.
Sure.
And I also want to say one thing before I talk about the experience part. Arijit, I think, like you were mentioning towards the end, yes, some of these disasters are very dangerous, and it is very, very true that we have to be very careful during those times. But at the same time, as long as you're making some good observations and being prepared for it and being proactive and being ready for it, you'll always find ways to come out successful. That's what I think we all should be keeping in the back of our mind, because these are sometimes disasters. They are inevitable, and these are sometimes they come in the form of nature. So you should not think like, hey, these are very, very dangerous. Of course, they're very dangerous, but at the same time, they are something that we can maneuver through as long as we are planning for it and being very proactive. I think that's just one thing that I wanted to add there towards the end. As far as the power situation, what happened is in our situation where the community is, it so happened that it is sharing the same grid like a local hospital is sharing. So we got lucky in terms of not losing power at all in the entire 4 or 5 days, while several of the other communities and several other neighbors and friends, they're constantly losing power and times when hours and hours together. In those situations, as and when the power comes, I think that's when they were able to quickly charge for whether it is 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and things like that. But they also had backup batteries that can be used just to charge cell phones. That was, I mean, at least in my case, I used just as a backup, just in case if I lose power. But so happened that I did not have to use it. But those things were also available. I think many of the folks made good use of them, at least in the circles of the friends that I had. So, Manas, Vinil, you probably had other experiences that you wanted to share as to how you charge your phones.
Yeah, so for us, we had, so we never lost power completely for like over like 4 hours. But for the majority of the time, we had like power for 30 minutes, and then they would take it away for 30 minutes. So what we would just leave our phones charged, and then whenever the power came, they would charge. So.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. At least, they gave enough time to charge the phone, which is one of the things that we cannot live without nowadays. So, yeah. Yeah, anything else that is coming to your mind you want to share? Okay, if not, then just reminding you that we will be back with our professional webinar with 3 speakers coming Wednesday from 12 p.m. EST. And we will be having our younger group webinar coming Friday at 8:45 p.m. EST. And the topic they have chosen is inventions and discoveries. So please do join and encourage them as well. They are tiny ones, but you should see their enthusiasm. Trust me, you'll love it. And then again, we'll have our older youth group webinar next Saturday at 4 p.m. EST. But that topic we will be discussing right now after this webinar has gone, we go off live. And then, so anyone who is interested and wants to be part of that webinar, please join the Zoom link right now. We will be discussing on the topic and finalizing one. And then we will have prep session on Tuesday and Thursday from 4 p.m. EST. And then we'll go live. So with that, we end this session today. Thank you all of you for joining in. Please leave your comments, feedback, or you can email us at webinar@LetUsTalkIt.com. And everyone have a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Right, kids. Good job.